Hello and welcome to the makeup meeting for September 2023. So a couple reminders about the tablets. So we are well into 7 weeks, 8 weeks of school now. You've had the tablets on the bus the whole time. Each one of you should be using the tablets for your route. I understand that some of you were having some issues with the tablets. If you're having issues, please come in and talk to Phil. We need to send the numbers of the tablet to the manufacturer so that we can sometimes get certain things fixed. Sometimes it's a matter of resetting. So, but if you're not using this tablet regularly to drive, you need to be doing that. The tablet has the most current route information. So, the routers are going through and they're making the requested changes, adding students, still getting students routed in. And so that most current route is in the tablet. You need to be following that, the one that's in the tablet. Um, on the tablet, you'll see up towards the top on the left hand side, if you're looking straight at the tablet towards the left hand side, there's a little envelope. If a message has been sent to you through the tablet system, that envelope will light up orange. So be sure to click on that to see what your message is. Um, and please make sure you're using it for the child check. So this is the location check after you've returned to the yard in the morning and in the afternoon after PM route. Once you go through and you do your odometer, verify you completed the route, go to My Runs, and you should have the tab that says says Inspections. And then you click on Inspections, click on Location Check. That is the child check that verifies that you have gone through the child check station here at the yard. I print those records off every day, and I do go through those about once a week to see who is doing this, who is not using the tablet. Um, so right now you're going to get friendly reminders to please use your tablet to run the route and to do the location child check, not the pre-trip. Pre-trip is still being done on the DVIR books, but please use the inspections tab in the tablet after you go through the location child check here at the yard. So most of you are aware that we have instituted a new PPE item, the safety glasses, and these are for diesel fueling. Now, if you drive a propane bus, and I think we only have one propane bus being driven, that has its own set of PPE that is located at that pump. Each driver of a diesel bus has been issued or is to be issued a pair of safety glasses. Now, if you wear prescription glasses, you can use those while fueling to protect your eyes. The biggest concern that we have is we had a location in our company earlier this year that while the driver was fueling, the nozzle came detached from the hose and diesel fuel sprayed into the driver's eyes. So this is to prevent that. So if you have not received a pair of the glasses, please come see me. Um, One of our safety committee members, Dan Culp, has been really diligent in getting these glasses handed out to everybody. So you need to be wearing these while fueling. Okay, so we're going to get to a point where if you're not wearing them, that could be a corrective action plan or write up, and I don't want to have to do that for anybody. So uh, take the glasses, put them on your bus. You will turn these in at the end of the school year. If you have any questions, please come see me. And also, all of our SPED drivers and monitors, a couple of reminders. When you are dropping SPED students off at school, a teacher is to come receive the students off of the bus. Now, unless the students have been given a waiver, the teacher has told you, this is more typical with the high school students, that the student is allowed to get off the bus by themselves, then you can release that student when you get to school. Otherwise, SPED students stay on the bus until a teacher or the para comes to the bus to receive those students. And same thing at home. Unless the student has a waiver saying they can be dropped off without adult supervision, somebody must be there to receive the student. Now, they either need to come out to the bus to help get the student off of the bus or just be there to receive them, or they need to be present, like they're standing in the doorway, standing on the driveway, whatever it is you need to look to watch to make sure that student goes into the house. Don't just, as soon as their feet hit the sidewalk, you're gone. Okay, these are some of our most vulnerable students, and it is our job to protect them. All right, so please do not drop without supervision unless a waiver has been put into place. So let's get into our accident statistics. So our fiscal year restarts every year in July. And so the accident record we had last year, which was 51 recordable accidents from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023 was 51. So it reset July 1st of 2023. So July 3rd, so from July 1st to September 5th, which is when the PowerPoint was built, we had 5 recordable and 5 non-recordable. That has gone up a little bit. I think we've had 3 recordables since then, and we'll get into that in the next month's safety meeting. In July, so during summer school time, we had a bus that hit a tree branch and a turnaround, and I'll show you that in a minute. One that hit a parked car in a cul-de-sac, and then an accident that happened making a left turn out of Meridian Elementary School. In August, we had a lane change accident, and then we also had a vehicle that hit a parked car. We did have a few non-recordable, meaning our drivers were not at fault accidents as well. This included a training bus that was rear-ended at a railroad crossing. So our driver did nothing wrong. They in fact did everything right. And it was a trainee, so you can imagine how nerve-wracking that was. There was a chain reaction accident. I will be showing you that video. We had a bus that was rear-ended over by Victory Middle School. And then we had a car that was making a left turn out of a subdivision to McMillan that caused a near-miss accident as well. So this first video that I'm going to show you was a non-recordable accident. This was a vehicle on Shinden. The bus was headed west, meaning going up the hill towards Cloverdale. And actually the bus was making a right turn into a subdivision, but they were headed west. A vehicle turned out of the DMV parking lot on Shinden and hit a Suburban, which forced it over into the side of the bus. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the video from the front of the bus facing backwards. And I do want to say that our driver handled this amazingly. Such a professional, remained very calm. The driver was already getting ready to make the right-hand turn into the subdivision, which I think really did help minimize the damage to the bus and make sure there was no student injuries. The people in the Suburban were injured, but they are fine. But you know, so many times we have cars, and I've seen buses do it too, pulling out of a side street, a business or whatever, making a left-hand turn and not being aware of the traffic that's oncoming. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
When I get home, I'm probably gonna watch Bob's Burgers with my dad.
You might need to go back and watch it once or twice, but you'll see that the vehicles were coming up alongside the passenger side of the bus and hit just right as the bus was making the right-hand turn. And I'm going to show you the video from the rear of the bus. You'll see the student in the white t-shirt down in the corner. I don't think the student realizes how close, how much danger they were in. Now I know, as soon as I showed this video in the safety meeting, oh, the kid's standing up, they're eating on the bus. This happened like on the 3rd day of school. Okay, the driver is working with the students. Let's have a little grace. The one that I find the funniest, so watch it first and then go back and rewatch it, is the kid in the opposite seat. Didn't even change the expression on his face, just kept putting a stick of gum in his mouth. So let's watch it from the rear angle. So I do have some other accident videos to show you from what went on this past month, but they tied in so well with our focus for the month, which is defensive driving skills. I'm kind of going to weave them in as we go through each of these defensive driving skills and talk about the accidents and what could have been done differently. So if you remember back to your very first day of classroom training and all throughout your BTW training, what got hit on the most? It's the most basic of defensive driving skills. It's 4 things, and these 4 things will immensely remove and reduce risk. The triple LCs: look ahead, look around, leave room, and communicate. Using these 4 principles is going to make you a much higher level of a professional driver, and you're going to be removing and reducing the majority of the risk that we have on the road. So what does it mean to triple LC? What does that look like? So let's review again. I know we talked about this in our return to service, our back to school in service, but we're going to talk about it again because it's so vital, so important. So looking ahead, We have that 15-second eye lead time, meaning that we're looking ahead to where we're going. The majority of drivers on the road are following the bumper of the car in front of them. That's why when you see one car swerve, you'll see like 5 or 6 more of them swerve when there's nothing to swerve around or in the road, because they're just following the car in front of them. They're not looking out and ahead to what's up there, to where they're headed to. What does this do for you? It gives you enough time to recognize obstacles and get out of the way. You might need to change lanes, make a turn, excuse me, slow down, whatever it is. That 15-second eye lead time is going to help you with that. Looking around, this is shifting your point of focus every 5 to 8 seconds. Now, this picture here is a intersection in New York City. Now, I know we're not New York City. I just came from New York City. I was visiting my daughter, and I've come to realize that really New York City is no different than us. There's just a lot more people, a lot more cars, and a lot more risk taking. And so, what can we do? Look ahead, look around, shift that point of focus, looking from every direction and being aware of how the environment is changing. What's going on at these intersections that you need to be aware of? Is there another bus coming up to make a stop? Pedestrians? Is there an animal? Maybe there's a downed tree. You don't know until you really take a good look and look around you and aware of what's going on all sides of your bus. Leave room. Okay, a minimum 4 seconds of following distance from the car in front of you. And that's in good dry weather. The roads aren't wet, snowy, icy, it's not foggy. Um, of course, we're going to increase that following distance. But leaving room isn't just about following distance. The pictures here, that broken window was caused by that tree branch. The driver got too close when trying to execute a turnaround in a cul-de-sac. Tree branches will break windows, and they're deceptive because we think it's a living thing, it's pliable. I can just, scrape against it, it will get out of the way. No, if it's big enough and thick enough, it will break the window. And then communicate. We've talked a lot about communication. We talk about it all the time. Uh, Communication isn't just the words coming out of my mouth going to your ear or the understanding between two parties who are talking to each other. Communication is the things that we do in the bus to inform other drivers of what our intentions are. Using a turn signal, we're going to be making a left turn, making a right turn, switching lanes. Are you giving enough advanced communication to let the other vehicles know that you're switching lanes? We're going to talk about this in just a little bit. Um, the horn is a method of communication. You can use this to get the attention of distracted drivers or drivers who are executing a maneuver that could be detrimental to you. And this and I'll be showing you a video here where that happened. Okay, so we must communicate. It's not, like I said, it's not just about the words coming out of your mouth or the words being heard. It's the things that we do on the bus, the turn signals, the making eye contact. Um, Maybe you're pointing, you're letting them know, hey, you go, I'm stopped, or whatever it is, and using that horn to communicate to try and get the attention of other drivers as well. So I showed you this picture a little earlier in the presentation. This happened when one of our buses was coming around a vehicle that was parked on the side of the road. It was over at the um, Fast Eddies on Pine and 10 Mile. And the bus had come in behind the Fast Eddies to stage. And this is actually an excellent place to stage. But it's a narrow road, it's a residential road, and you have a lot of cars that are parked on the side street because it's a lot of rentals. The driver was coming southbound from Pine to coming around the curve and got too close to this vehicle that was parked on the side of the road. So, this is one of those areas of looking around and then being aware of what's going on around all sides of your bus, especially when you start to cut in to go over to the side of the road. So, I'm going to show you that video now. So that was the video taken from the camera that points out of the windshield to the road. And you can see there's a lot of space for that driver to get over and stage into. Now there was a, excuse me, a car that was oncoming, a white vehicle. Not sure why they honked at the driver. The driver said that he felt like that the white car was crowding him, so he started to get over and didn't see the car that was parked on the side of the road. The rear eyelash bumper on our bus caught the front bumper on that car and just really ripped it off. So now I'm going to show you the video from inside of the bus, and you're going to be looking towards the left side of your screen, and you'll be able to see how close the bus got to the car. So let's talk about merging and changing lanes. Now, this can be a very risky move because you have a 40-foot vehicle, and cars don't always see your turn signal on, or they're going to try and race to get around you, or maybe you're just trying to get in and you're making a bit of an aggressive maneuver to try and get into another lane of traffic. So we need to think about when you're changing lanes or you need to merge, how many lanes do you need to cross? And we never want to shoot across multiple lanes at once. You want to put that turn signal on, move one lane, establish yourself. You can keep the turn signal on because you're still communicating that you need to move again. But then after you've established yourself in your lane, then you can move again. Um, where are the other cars? And we're going to talk about a reference point called the overtaking vehicle reference point. And this is going to help you see where the vehicle is in your mirror and is it safe to merge or change lanes at that time based upon where the vehicle is in your mirror. How many signal blinks is there before you start to move lanes? There should be at least 5. Now I'm going to show you an accident that happened. There was no contact between the vehicles, but a car did jump a median and had possible front end damage. Our driver, though, had given 7 blinks of the blinker. I truly think that the kid did not see the blinker, but whatever, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then where are the other cars in your mirrors? Like I said, we'll talk about that overtaking vehicle reference point. So I'm going to show you this video. So this was on Overland Road. The driver was had just turned east off of 10 Mile going to Victory Middle School. So they're on Overland, and you'll see right at the very beginning of the video, there's the orange diamond sign that says that the lane ends. And so the driver, our driver, needs to merge over to the left and has 7 blinks, starts to move over, hears a sound and pulls into the median because he's not sure what the sound is, looks back, and there's a car sitting in the opposite lanes of traffic on Overland. As you come down the hill and it starts to curve, it's 45 miles an hour there. Our driver was going 44 miles an hour. I feel like the kid in this car was probably going a lot faster than that, either did not see the turn signals of the bus or was trying to beat the bus. And the driver is fighting this ticket. Our driver was cited for an improper lane change, but they are fighting it at this time. So let's watch this video. And I have a couple different angles that I will show you. So in this next video, it's the same incident. I want you to look uh, on the driver's side of the bus towards the rear. And this is going to be deceptive. Okay, it's going to look like the car, it's a white car. It's going to look like it's about the middle of the bus. So go ahead and watch that first. So this next video actually gives you an idea of where the car was when the bus started to move over towards the left. The car was right at about the level of seat 12, between 12 and 11, clear at the rear of the bus. Now, you know the bus is 40 feet long. And like I said, our driver was going 44 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour speed limit. I feel it's very possible that this car was going much faster. but that didn't stop our driver from getting ticketed. Now, I will say, when I watched the video, this driver did almost everything textbook perfectly. Two hands on the wheel, good 4-second following distance, not speeding, in fact, staying under the speed limit, rocking and rolling, checking those mirrors. And sometimes other vehicles will make maneuvers that we can't control. But regardless, our driver was ticketed for the improper lane change. So watch this one, you'll see exactly where the car was at. And then we're going to talk about this overtaking vehicle reference point. So this reference point, it might be new for some of you. This is called the overtaking vehicle reference point. And what this does is it helps you accurately judge where a vehicle is based upon where they're at in your flat mirror. Now, if you don't know what I mean by flat mirror, it's the biggest mirrors that you have, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. That the view in that mirror is not distorted because that mirror is not bent. It's not convex. It's not concave like your convex mirror or your crossover mirrors. And so you have a more accurate representation of where a vehicle is based upon where they're at in your mirror. So if you look in this picture right here, you want to find the center of your mirror. You're going to draw an imaginary line right at the center of the mirror. And then where that vehicle is, if they're above that line or below that line, is going to tell you kind of where they're at and how many feet they are behind you or close they are to you. In this illustration right here, that car is right at that center line. So that car is 3 feet behind the bumper of the bus. That's way too close for a bus to be moving over. So if you have a vehicle right at that center line in that flat mirror, you are not going to move because they are too close to the bus. So in these two illustrations here, you can see we still have our imaginary line in the center of the flat mirror. But in illustration 2.3, the vehicle that's coming up is below the center. So they're at the bottom of that flat mirror. That vehicle actually is aligned with the rear bumper. And you can see where it is in that mirror. It's in that bottom half of the mirror. So if you've got a vehicle at the center of the mirror or below it towards the bottom half of that mirror, they're way too close for you to be moving over. Now, if you look at the illustration next to it, illustration 2.4, you have your imaginary center line. The vehicle is above it. So the farther up in that flat mirror that vehicle is, the farther away, the more room you have for merging or changing lanes. In that illustration, that specific one right there, that vehicle is 20 feet behind the bus. Okay, so I challenge you, find that imaginary center line, and before you merge or change lanes, see where those vehicles are at in that flat mirror. So let's talk about some what would you do scenarios, okay? When I show these accident videos, these scenarios, these are never meant to call out a driver for anything. This is not meant to humiliate, downgrade, make fun of, say, oh, I'm a much better driver than you or anything like that. Absolutely not. Because I'm going to tell you in a couple of these, I probably would have made the same choice that our driver made. So in this picture right here, we have a bus that is at an apartment complex. This was the first time that this route had gone to this stop. They had gotten notification the night before that this stop had been added to their route. So this was a very unfamiliar area for them. Came into the apartment complex, picked up the student, and now needs to make a left-hand turn to exit the complex. But you can see giant moving truck right there. What would you do? Quite frankly, when I look at this, I can't say with 100% certainty that I wouldn't have stopped and waited. I think the majority of our drivers here would have attempted this left turn just as our driver did. Now, when our driver came around the corner, they were trying to not hit the moving truck, but they did hit the top of the stop sign or the street sign there. You can see the two blue signs bent the signs and did scrape up the side of the bus. Now, in an apartment complex, you can have a changing environment all of the time with these moving trucks going in and out, vehicles parked where they shouldn't be, and there was really no indication to give who had rented the truck. There was no doors open. This was like before 8 o'clock in the morning, so you don't want to go banging on doors asking someone to come move this truck. But it was a very tight turn. So what could have been done differently in this situation? Stopped and waited. Radioed into dispatch. Um, got a moving truck blocking my turn here. Now this was a special needs route. Excuse me. So there was a monitor on board. The monitor could have assisted the driver in backing up to another area where the driver could have turned to have gotten out of the situation. Uh, if it was not a special needs driver, didn't have anyone to help with backing. You can see the white pickup to the right there. There was a guy sitting in that pickup watching the whole time. You could ask that person, hey, could you help me spot me as I back up so I can get out of here? And then just don't attempt to make that very tight left-hand turn if at all possible. In this next video, it is a driver going into a cul-de-sac, and you'll notice the driver goes over to the left to try and circumnavigate this cul-de-sac. So let's watch the video real quick and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is a tail swing accident. So let's watch it real quick and then we'll discuss. So looking at this, the driver made a judgment call. Okay, there was the two cars parked on the left-hand side of the road. Now, why do you think the driver went towards the left-hand side to go around this cul-de-sac? Okay, so if you don't already know this, we're going to call this a little bit of forbidden knowledge. Maybe you do know, but you didn't want to admit that you know it. When you circumnavigate a cul-de-sac, meaning you go around the perimeter of the cul-de-sac, when you keep to the right and go around, a lot of times the turning radius is not tight enough on the bus that you can get all the way around that cul-de-sac without having to back up. Sometimes if you go to the right and now circumnavigate going the wrong way through that cul-de-sac, that is a tight enough turning radius and you can get around that cul-de-sac without having to back. But what happened in this case? You had vehicles on the left there, and the tail swing of the bus caught the vehicle. So what is the best thing to do in this situation? That 3-point turnaround, the technique for cul-de-sacs that I've been harping on since last year. Pulling into the center of the cul-de-sac, turning sharply to the left, and then backing, and then coming out of the cul-de-sac. This is a sped student pickup, so the driver can come in straight, go to the left, stop, load the student, and then do the backing maneuver to get out of the cul-de-sac. Now, when it comes to cul-de-sacs, I'm not going to be out there all the time, saying, hey, you need to do it this way every single time, because you and I both know that cul-de-sacs can look different from day to day. You can have a car parked right at the entrance, you can have the garbage cans, you can have a basketball hoop, you could have a car parked in the center, whatever. It changes all the time. What I am asking you to do is before any time that you go through a cul-de-sac that you take a pause, stop, take in the entire picture, see what is there. Don't just automatically whip yourself in and circumnavigate and whip out. That's where we see the tail swings hitting the mailboxes, the garbage cans, the basketball poles, or the tail swings hitting the cars, because you just automatically do something without stopping to take a pause. Stop, take a pause, take in the scene, make a conscious choice as to how you're going to navigate this obstacle. Okay, remember, remove and reduce risk. Take a pause and make a decision. So this next video, the bus was leaving Meridian Elementary School. If you're not familiar, Meridian Elementary is right here, real close to the shop. It's on the corner of Pine and Meridian Road. And it, quite frankly, is awful. Okay, it's one of those schools that was built a long, long time ago before the amount of traffic and people lived here. And the buses go behind the school to load and unload. And then they're having to either make a left or a right to get out onto Meridian Road to continue. And you're crossing multiple lanes of traffic. You don't have a light. In fact, there's a crosswalk light there. It doesn't always work in your favor. So I want you to watch this video. Okay. Think about what could have been done differently in this situation. Really, this scenario here went along with the two that we had earlier in the video. The car that came out of the side street, I think I showed that one to you, near almost hitting our bus. And then the car that came out hit another vehicle that pushed it into the back of our bus. Um, what could have been done different here? You might be like, well, nothing. They had to make the left hand turn. Maybe they could have just gone into the center turn lane and waited for the traffic to clear. Um, what we did differently is we changed the route so that the bus is now only making a right hand turn out of that school, not having to make a left hand turn onto Meridian Road. You can absolutely request that. Um, you guys drive these routes every single day. Okay. For safety, if we need to change something for safety, come in and talk to me about it if you need to. I am more than happy to look at these turns, look at these stops, and say, is there a better way? Now, I will say in some circumstances, especially when it comes to special needs routes, there may not be a better way because we have to consider where the student lives, how they're going to load and unload. But if there is a better way, I will fight for that. So maybe you are making left hand turns from side streets onto very busy roads where you could easily make a right hand turn and maybe go around a block, wouldn't add that much time. Let's get those ones changed so that we're not having to make left hand turns crossing traffic. So in this last video, I want you to look and see why I had a problem with what went on in this video. So did you catch it? Maybe not. So this driver left Ward, or they left from the light like they're supposed to on Benchmark, made a left-hand turn onto Franklin. That driver was headed to Eagle Road. And the amount of time that driver spent in the left-hand lane is the problem. Now, Idaho does not have a law yet stating that commercial vehicles are to travel in the right-hand lane. Right now, it's a best practice. I believe it is headed for law eventually in Idaho because they have been harping on this if you pay attention to the news in the legislature. It is safer for commercial vehicles, larger, slower moving vehicles, to be in that outside lane as much as possible. That inside lane is for faster moving vehicles, it is for passing. And you as a bus, you're larger, you need more time, more room to stop. And so it's better to be in that outside lane. Okay, so if you are within a mile of needing to make a left-hand turn or move into the left-hand turn lane, center turn lane, then move over. Or the other exception would be something like Eagle Road, Shinden Road, State Street at rush hour traffic. You know at some point you're going to need to get over, but traffic is so heavy that if you get in that outside lane, you're not going to be able to move over before you need to get to where your turn is. Then travel in that inside lane. But excuse me, we need to be courteous. We need to think about other drivers. I know. And we need to travel in that outside lane as much as possible. Many states do have this as a law already. And statistics have shown that commercial vehicles have less accidents when they're in that slower outside lane. Okay. So, yeah, be in that outside lane as much as possible. So, for those who were present in the actual safety meeting for September, we did a practice building evacuation. Now, we are in October, which means we're going to be doing our bus evacuation drills with our students, but we also need to practice what to do in the event that we need to evacuate our building here at Ward. Posted around the facility are several of these maps that show the best route of escape. You want to look for the nearest exit, and just like on the bus, leave your stuff. Don't be gathering up your personal belongings. Get out, and you want to move as far away from the building as possible. We're very blessed to have such a large facility here that you can go back to the fences along the perimeter of the property and be far enough away from the building. If you hear that the building needs to be evacuated, you need to evacuate quickly. So, thank you so much for your time and attention. Please be sure to get the quiz from outside my office door. Put your name on it. Okay, I can't give you credit if you don't put your name on it. Get that into me, and you will be all good for September. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in October.